So I have the honor and pleasure of introducing our speaker today, Gideon Bernstein. Gideon has, we're in the same industry, which is amazing, but he's had decades of financial services experience. He serves Orange County. He's currently Principal and Chief Investment Officer at Leisure Capital Management, and his passion is working with nonprofit boards, families, and private foundations to help them achieve their philanthropic missions. Gideon has served as a board member of numerous charitable organizations and is Vice President of Investments and Chairman of the Board for the Jewish Community Foundation of Orange County. He holds designations as a Chartered Financial Analyst, and that is not an easy exam. I think that's the most difficult one to achieve. And he also is a Chartered Advisor in Philanthropy. Giving is Gideon's first book. Gideon Bernstein, everyone.
Okay, hello Signal Hill and Long Beach. How's everybody doing? Good. All right, I'm going to try to get this microphone set up properly so I can talk to you. And you got a little bit of a snippet of what our talk is today. I know there's a lot of competition that we have today also because college basketball season is here, and we have the Sweet 16 coming up. Anybody excited about UCLA playing today? Maybe a couple alumni. I'm a UCSB guy, but still got to follow something that's exciting.
Go Beach!
There you go.
Go Beach.
So, even though we're talking about college basketball right now, pro football season is now over. It's been long over. I really want to talk about one of the playoff games that was so significant to us. It was in January when the Buffalo Bills 24-year-old Damar Hamlin won all of our hearts when he had this accident that captivated all of us with a frightening near-death experience on the field, suffering cardiac arrest after being tackled. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was amazing was that we, the fans, actually epitomized the joy of giving with a surge in donations to this tiny little $2,500 toy drive fundraiser that overnight raised over $9 million with over 270,000 individual donations. Pretty crazy how the power of that emotional pull really makes us want to give back. Which leads into today. Everybody in this room today has gone through a lot in the last 3 years. Little did we know the emotional impact that it would have. I mean, we've all been through it, and hopefully we've been through most of it. And in the process, we discovered a new aspect of fear. It drove our behavior. I mean, we were afraid to go out and socialize, and we watched in horror as many people were in the hospital and all the bad outcomes. And unfortunately, we also saw a rise in hate crimes, which galvanized us to recommit to our principles of building a better world of equality and peace. I mean, that's why we're here. And at first I thought it would unite the world, and it did in a way. At a time when so many people were in need, the concept of giving became one of the unifiers of our society. COVID, it served as a global call to help others, and more people gave to charities during this time than ever before. So we've survived the last 3 years, and we know now that we are all here in the right place. Our values are secure, and we know that we still need to make the world a better place. we here, I know, are all philanthropists, people who give their time, talent, and treasure to help make life better for other people. And I love the word philanthropy. Philos means loving, and anthropos means humankind. So by definition, because we all love humanity, we all here are philanthropists, loving humanity. That's why we're here. And after the last few years, let's do a refresh, I'll call it a pep talk, on our beautiful perspective of giving. As I wrote in my book, The Secret to Happiness is Giving. And when you choose to give, you become an active agent of change. You're proactively taking responsibility for shifting something positive in this world. And I know that we Americans, all of us, are really good at it. Last year, there were over $400 billion of total giving. And just like our outsized proportion of success stories like Apple and Google and Microsoft, which give us as Americans so much pride, we also give an outsized proportion of our wealth. So why is that? It's the values of our country, and it's also our faiths. And when I say faith, it could be interpreted as our religion or our attitude or philosophy in life. And so giving is what we do through our faith to repair the world. Some people hope the world is going to be a better place, but it's our culture and it's our faith in humanity that commits us to make it better. And as the legendary football coach Vince Lombardi once said, hope, it's not a strategy. And so we here are all people of faith. And my book and my workbook are intended to inspire and enlighten people and motivate them to make change. I'm not alone in these reflections. Since my book came out, over the last few years, I've seen many friends and clients gain a new sort of enlightenment, asking themselves, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? Like, I think we've all reflected on that. How can I make a difference that matters? You can see people in this room that's what they do every day. So, my book, it helps to answer those questions for these people. And you already know that. And of course, you're inspired to make the act of giving a part of your life. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here without that mission. Because we're all philanthropists, right? We all love humanity. So in my workbook, I introduce some exercises to get people to realize what their purpose, value, and vision is. And after you go through it, you get over your yeah buts. Yeah, but what if I give that money to that homeless person there? They're just going to waste it on booze and drugs. And the only way to get through this is to really just take a risk or a leap of faith in your giving. But most of us here know about faith. You may know a little bit of my family tragedy in 2018. Our son Blaze was brutally murdered while he was in college. The crime was a hate crime. The alleged perpetrator has been in jail for over 5 years. There's no bail, and there's a trial yet to come for our son. How do we go through a time like that? Woke up every morning when it happened, and he was missing, and every day I just was hoping for the best. And the only thing that kept me going was our faith. No matter what, we would get through that moment with the help of our community. And we found a lot of strength in our community. They gave us love and support, and we started a giving movement in his name. It's a movement that we call Blaze It Forward. Somebody in here has a shirt that says that. But I was no stranger to giving. As a family, philanthropy had always been a way of life for us. We financially supported causes and organizations that matter to us, and we encouraged our kids to be active philanthropists in their own ways, giving time and resources to help make a difference in things that they really liked. And in a classic example of the ripple effect of giving, everything that we gave as a family came back to us when we needed help ourselves. And after 2018, motivated by national events, I introduced a philanthropy arm to my company where we encouraged our clients to set up donor advised funds. And for our employees, we set up matching so that they could have charitable matching for causes that they believed in, and it really resonated with them. I also had spent many years as chairman of the Jewish Community Foundation of Orange County, and I'm in a men's giving circle called the Solomon Society, so I've always been involved in philanthropy. But when we were catapulted into the public eye, we were encouraged to honor our son's generous heart through greater giving. The result, that our giving was not just random acts of kindness, but intentional acts of kindness in our son's name. So, in the last few years, we've all had to recommit ourselves to our giving goals. So the next question is, how do we do this? When I talk to people about philanthropy, I talk about the butterfly effect. How a small action has a ripple effect to big actions. And the allegory is that even a small butterfly flapping its wings can cause something as profound as a typhoon. And for those of you that want some scientific proof of giving, it even confirms the joy of giving is the secret to happiness. There's this thing called the endorphin effect, and research shows through MRI scans of the brain that when you give, it actually does have an effect. It stimulates endorphins, and we know that endorphins promote happiness. And also, a side note, not only does giving contribute to happiness, but it also has the same effect on longevity. Giving makes you live longer. If you don't believe me, did you know that if you put money in your trust for a charity or in your will, that your lifespan will automatically increase 10 years? It's true. So just think about that. Right? Getting for good, could use that, right? So when I talk about philanthropy, I talk about that leap of faith and taking a risk. So here's a few steps that you can take in your philanthropic journey. Step number 1, take a risk through experimenting. In philanthropy, I think it's really important to experiment. I tell this story. It's called the Benjamin's Breakfast Club. So I actually did it the first time with Ann Friedman. Took some of my friends to a local coffee shop. So picture it, it's a coffee shop, it's called Norms, right? I used to go there as a kid for the rice pudding, the rice pudding with the cinnamon on top and a total of like 1 raisin in the whole bowl. And it's a diner kind of place, the menu items average $3.95, and the coffee, you can taste the coffee grounds at the bottom of your cup and running through your tongue when you're drinking it. So we decided, 8 of us, to go to Norm's. And why 8? Because the booths only fit 8 people. And we decided to pass around an empty envelope. And for our tip, we each put in a $100 bill, a Benjamin. So at the end of breakfast, our tip was in this envelope. And when we presented the envelope to the server, the results were very emotional, as you can imagine. One waiter came to the table, we finished breakfast, and we gave him this envelope, and he walked away. And we weren't sure he was going to come back. We waited and waited, and finally he came back with tears in his eyes, and he said, I know someone who needs this money for cancer treatment. I'm going to be giving all this money for his treatment. And we were just totally blown away. Like, we had just created another philanthropist. So I've done this a few more times, and every time has been a whole new unexpected result. We never picked the waiter. It was whomever came to us, and every time has just been a tearjerker and just so moving. So that's the first step in the joy of giving. It's try and experiment, try things like that, and see how you can change somebody's life. Just that little butterfly effect, you never know what's going to happen. Step number 2 is another thing I talk about with philanthropists, which is leverage. It's this concept that I call the philanthropic multiplier. It's kind of like investing. So there's a philanthropist from back east. His name is Harold Grinspoon. He's in Western Massachusetts. He started making his fortune in his 50s and early 60s investing in apartments. And he decided that he wanted to start to give his estate away and invested in a national legacy program. He's put over $20 million into this legacy program. And I heard him talk one time. He said, the best investment I ever made was in this legacy program. I put $20 million into it, and I know that the future gifts for this program are now worth over $1.3 billion. So philanthropic multiplier is how you can find leveraging your dollars to be able to make them work more for philanthropy. And step 3 is really simple. It's just a small thing. It's just open the door to philanthropy for other people. Like we did for that waiter. Find ways to help change someone else's life. So how do we do that? You can open a door to philanthropy through simple acts of kindness. Buy a stranger Starbucks. Pay for someone's lunch. Compliment a coworker. Ann was telling me a story about how she gave up her table for a bigger family at a restaurant they were at. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the meal, the other family actually paid for their dinner. So it's just like this ability for people to be able to kind of reciprocate and be able to give back. So if you find ways to make someone's day, that's when you can experience that happiness and that amazing endorphin effect. But you here, you already know the thrill of giving. You're already here. We're all philanthropists. And we have all pretty much overcome what I say in my book are the 3 barriers to giving. One of the barriers is called the fear of scarcity, that you may not have enough money to take care of yourself, let alone anybody else in your future. The second one is the bystander effect. That's where you hope that someone has called 911 when you see a car accident on the side of the highway. And the third one is analysis paralysis. Now, that's the one that brings us to our situation today. You face too many choices. I call it choice anxiety. How some people might look at that, they regard choice anxiety as, honey, this year for our ski trip, do we go to Aspen or Park City? But for us, it's really choice overload. It's the vetting process. It's difficult to decide how we want to give charitably. Well, here's the good news. You're sitting here with an organization and a group that knows how to impact the local community and to change lives. Your colleagues here can help you to alleviate that analysis paralysis. And my message, it's simple. Your giving to any charity or individual will help you to overcome that analysis paralysis. So I'd like to go back to 2 words that I used earlier in the speech. Those are hope and faith. Hope is passive. It's not going to change the world. It's like the bystander effect, hoping someone will call 911. It's not a strategy. It's like cheering for your team. It's passive. We paint our face. We bring our signs to the football game and we hope that our team will win. But faith, in all its forms, it's active. It's the strength that we have that overcomes fear. It's that belief. And we all here have that faith. To paraphrase one of my favorite quotes, hope is assuming that what we do is going to change the world, but faith is what gets us to make the world a better place. It's our faith that keeps us connected. And it's because of faith that got me through our tragedy. Not hope, but faith. As they say, hope walks through the fire, and faith leaps over it. And something special and magical really happens when you stop hoping and you start knowing and acting. You can hope that the world is going to be a better place, but it's your faith and your intentional acts of giving that will truly repair the world. So when I experienced our family tragedy, I went through days of hoping for good news. And when I finally knew the outcome, over a week later, I was just devastated. And, it was my faith and the faith of our community, literally everybody that lived in our community, that helped me to recover. And the energy and the relief that I felt, seeing so much giving and kindness, was a tremendous distraction from my grief. It gave me purpose. It gave me a tangible result. It gave me newfound faith for healing and for rebuilding my life. And the needs of our global community will always be evolving. And there will always be people hurting and causes that will need all of your help. But remember that when you give, it saves lives. People recover their own faith in their future, as we did. And I'm happy to inspire you to make that act of giving a part of your life's mission. And in turn, you will experience the secret to happiness. Thank you.